I'm using this mini excavator to reclaim 20 feet by 100 feet of property behind my house. Okay folks, here we are. I'm in the jungle called my backyard behind my fence. Behind me I've got the mini excavator, and what we've been doing is we've been clearing out about 16 to 20 feet by 100 feet of just total underbrush. In fact, I didn't video any of the first, hour and a half or so of this because it was just so thick there was nowhere to put a camera. But we're at a point now where it's looking pretty good. I'm gonna show you around. Oh, don't want to touch that. That's poison ivy. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start up here, kind of like at the corner. I don't know if you can see the corner of that chain link fence right there, but that's one corner of the property. And I don't know if you can see the little pink ribbon. Probably hard to see, but that's kind of our line right there. Now here's my brush pile. That's all the stuff that we got out with the mini excavator and a good sawzall. But this right here, whenever I first started, it was so thick it was hard to even get in here. Now, again, there's the pink ribbon. All the undesirable trees I'm going to clear out because I'm trying to reclaim this space. On the other side of this fence, I've got a relatively flat area that if I extended this, maybe, just maybe, I could put a pool right here. If not a pool, maybe a building or something. I got to move those bricks out of the way so I can keep working on this. And obviously I'm not done. I still have to keep going. And let me show you where the next ribbon is. There is the ribbon, the other corner. And yes, I live in a subdivision. That's why I got this. That's why I don't have a tractor. I don't have a barn to fit something that big. But I could, that's pretty small. I can squeeze that in here. And the mini skid in the garage. So anything that's logs or rocks, I'm putting it in this water runoff. But if it's brush that can get through a chipper, I'm piling it over there. This oak tree right here would be right on the line. So you can see how much we've claimed with this machine and a sawzall. An old wheelbarrow right here. No telling what's under it. I see a tiny little turtle. I'll make sure there's no snakes. No snakes. Hey, little guy. Cute little turtle. I do not want to run over him with the excavator though, so I'm going to take him somewhere safe. It's hard to tell on camera, but this is quite the terrain right in this section, and I wasn't sure if I would be able to get the excavator in here. It would just be way too unsteady, so I'm cutting these. And I don't want to damage, this is a really big, it's a nice oak tree. So I don't want to mess up these roots. So I'm just going to cut these. Looks like we got some poison ivy right there. That's wonderful. I forget what they call that. Chinese privet or something like that. It's everywhere. And it goes all the way around this oak tree. This is some more of that. The same oak tree, but you can see how the roots just wrap all the way around this oak tree right there. So I didn't want to get the excavator and start trying to pull that. It would definitely damage the oak tree. This will probably come back, but for the time being. Instant daylight. That poison ivy on me. I know these are not big trees that I'm taking out, but I gotta tell you, it's pretty effective and fun with the excavator. Okay, we are about 35 feet from the marker, the corner marker over here. And I gotta tell you, the excavator, maybe it is doing better than mini skid in terms of this, getting trees out. Okay, we are headed to Madisonville, Tennessee right now to buy a chipper shredder. And this is not a brand new one. This is actually a used one. Corresponded with somebody via Facebook Marketplace. This looks like it's going to be a really good one. And as long as the engine runs well, I got a pretty good price on it, I feel like. So it's not a commercial one. I don't need a commercial one. I don't want something that takes up a bunch of space, but I do need something to destroy that brush pile. So we're going to see how good this machine is. Now, on a side note, I'm really glad that I'm driving to Madisonville to go get this thing, because Chattanooga is the opposite direction, and in my search to find a chipper shredder, the last thing I wanted to do was have to drive across Chattanooga. So this drive is actually really, really pretty and quite peaceful on a Sunday afternoon. So let's see how good this thing is. Okay, the deal is done. We now have a chipper shredder. It's actually in the back of the truck right there. The brand is Great Circle. I don't know. It has a 212cc. I guess it's equivalent to a 7 horsepower engine, but this thing is just spotless. I mean, you can barely even tell it's been used. So brand new, they're running right now around $600 for this exact one. I did some, you know, reference checking before I went over here and actually bought this. So we got it for almost half the cost. So I think we got a pretty good deal. The engine runs smooth. So let's see how well this thing chips up branches. Okay, it's another day out here on the project, and behind me is the brush pile that we've created so far. And actually, we are not done yet. I've got to cut down some more undesirable trees, but I've got to clear out this space because I'm running out of room. But we're going to be using the Great Circle chipper shredder that we just bought the other day. Lightly used, only been used a couple times, but this bad lady right here is powered by the AlphaWorks 7 horsepower 212cc engine. It says this will chip up to 3-inch material. Go ahead and take off that cover because we need that off anyway. So small stuff, leaves, anything 1/2 inch or less than that one. Anything bigger than that goes in there. Okay, let's see how this thing does getting rid of this pile. All right, let's see if we can get this puppy started. It's actually takes a lot of power to turn. All right, we cranked it out there on scene. Woo! It's alive. Okay, so I'm going to let this thing warm up just for a few minutes because it's about to work really hard. Wow. Just yanked it out of my hand. Nice. 1.5 inches. Wow, just sucks it right in. Almost 2 inches. 1 7/8 inches. Okay. Brand new spot. Can't believe I'm saying this, but that actually wore me out. And I forgot to turn the timer back on, but my guess is we were out here for around 2.5 to 3 hours. So behind me is where the pile used to be. Now there is some stuff that was just too big to feed through there that's still laying around. And that pile has turned into but these piles. It's got the wheel covered up. But But 2 little piles, and what I'll do is I'll just spread them out in through this area. Now you can kind of see why I didn't want to create a bonfire. One, that back there is not my property, but the last thing I want to do is be responsible for the next wildfire. So now it didn't get everything. So right here is some of those gnarly ends that was just too wild and too crazy to fit through there. But here's what I've discovered about the machine. It does great with just wood. Where it starts to struggle is whenever the vegetation, it gets to the end right there where all the little tiny little limbs start going everywhere. In particular, its nemesis is that Chinese privet. I think that's what it's called. That invasive species that I was using the Sawzall to get out. Those were really problematic and very time consuming. But if it was like a thicker pine limb, oak, or even a sweet gum, something like that, we would just zip right through. Now, as far as today goes, I am done for the day. I'm wore out, but whenever I pick this back up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut down some of the undesirable trees, and I'll cut off the limbs, use that again, and then saw up the trunk, anything that can't go through there, and we'll burn that, you know, 6 months from now or a year from now or something.